Have you ever noticed that in countries like America, UK, Canada, and the likes, people can actually pay for almost everything with a credit card? They could buy groceries, fuel their cars, even book flights, pay for coffee without using their own money upfront. But that is not the case right here in Ghana. Now, when I started paying attention to all of those things, I realized that almost everyone, if not basically everybody around me, was using mobile money. Whether they wanted to buy fruits from a vendor on the road, or whether they wanted to pay for transportation, or they were even shopping at a small neighborhood store. The question would always be, do you have money instead of do you accept credit cards? You get it? Now, this is something that actually made me curious. And I started asking, why did Ghana embrace mobile money so completely while credit cards never became part of everyday life? Initially, I assumed it was because credit cards simply hadn't arrived. But looking closely, I realized that Ghana actually did not miss the credit card era, by accident. Rather, Ghana did find a solution that matched the country's need even better than what the credit card would have actually done. Now, let us look at it this way. A credit card can only work if people actually have access to banks. People qualify for credit, and of course, these people are comfortable borrowing money before paying it back. But for many Ghanaians, the bigger challenge, I wouldn't say, was borrowing money. It was simply how they were going to move money quickly and safely. Now, imagine you are a trader, let's say in Kumasi, and your supplier is in Accra. Years ago, saving cash wasn't always easy or safe. Family members who were living in another region, they also needed a simple way that they were going to send support back home. And this is where the introduction of mobile money arrived. Suddenly, everybody who had a basic phone could send and receive money in minutes. You understand what I'm saying? You didn't need a traditional bank account. You did not need a complicated paperwork. All you needed was just your phone. And because almost everybody already had a mobile phone, the system spread, fast, incredibly fast. Now, what I find very amazing is the fact that Ghana skipped a stage that many Western countries went through. In places like the United States, the journey was often cash, then checks, credit cards, and finally the digital payments. But for Ghana, the journey actually looked different. Ghana went from cash straight to mobile money. So instead of asking people to borrow before they spent, the system focused on helping people transfer money that they already had. Easy, it was that easy, and that simple difference, I want to say, was what changed the game. Today, even some of the smallest businesses accept mobile money. I have seen roadside food vendors, market women, taxi drivers, artisans complete transactions in seconds using nothing more than their phones. Now, for many people, that's more practical than them carrying a wallet that is full of different cards. Now, don't get me wrong, credit cards do exist in Ghana. Hotels, supermarkets, and of course, the larger businesses, they often accept them. But for everyday life, mobile money actually became the easier, the faster, and the more accessible option. And this is the lesson that I think is in all of this. Technology doesn't always win because it's newer. Sometimes technology does win because it solves the right problem. Mobile money solved the problem that millions of Ghanaians face every day, and that is simply the reason why it became a part of everyday life here in Ghana. So maybe the better question isn't why didn't credit cards become popular in Ghana. Sorry, the better question is why people need them when mobile money already does exactly what they would need here. If you've lived in Ghana, have you found yourself using mobile money more than your bank cards? And if you're watching from another country, would you imagine a system where your phone replaces your wallet for basically everything that you would need to do with it? Now, let me know what you think about this in the comments, because I definitely would love to hear your experiences. Thank you. When somebody tells you that they are saving money, what exactly is it that comes to your mind? Now, for many people, it's a savings, account at their traditional bank, maybe an investment portfolio or a retirement fund, any of those things. And to tell you guys the truth, that is exactly what I used to think. But do you know that I have come to realize something here in Ghana? People here absolutely believe in savings, but not, in the usual way that people in places like America, UK, Canada think, okay. Now, the first time I thought about this, I noticed this while I was talking to a market trader. Business was actually good that day, but instead of her saying that she was going to put her money into a savings account, she told me that she was going to be buying more goods to sell the coming week. And I thought that isn't that too much of spending? But then again, a thought hit me. You get it? It did hit me. And this is because to her, buying more stock wasn't just an expense, it was a way that she was going to save and grow her future income. And the more I paid attention to this very act, I realized that in Ghana, this is basically, the way of thinking everywhere. Many Ghanaians don't just save their money. They would rather save in things that can, continue to create value for them. Some buy lands whenever they do have enough money. Others get to invest in livestock. Some get to renovate a family house little by little. Business owners, they are not left out, okay? They get to increase their inventory. Parents get to pay for education because they see it as an investment in the future of their children. Now, you should understand that in many cases, wealth isn't always sitting quietly in a bank account somewhere in a bank. It is working for them. Now, another thing that actually gets to fascinate me is the susu idea. The susu idea, okay? If you live in Ghana, you probably would have seen some of those susu collectors. They go from shop and businesses every other day. So instead of relying on only the formal banks, many people contribute small amounts regularly through trusted saving groups of collectors. Now, to somebody who might be coming out of Ghana, this might seem very unusual. But for many people, it's practical. It creates discipline. It makes savings very easy for them. And because it's been part of the communities for generations, many people actually trust the social system. Now, don't get me wrong, banks are becoming common. You get it? They are becoming more common, and digital banking is growing every year. But do you know that the traditional saving habits, they haven't disappeared? What happened is that they have simply evolved alongside some modern financial savings. I also think that the way people earn money does play a role. Not everybody earns a monthly salary. Many people are traders, artisans, transport operators, or they own small businesses. No, and in cases like this, their income changes from day to day. Now, when your income isn't exactly the same every other month, your savings naturally becomes flexible. And that is one see, and that is why one person's savings might look like a bag or bags of rice in a shop. Another person's savings might be like a piece of land. Another person's savings might be extra stock that is waiting to be sold. You get what I'm saying? It is actually a different financial mindset for every individual in question. And honestly, I don't think one system is necessarily better than the other. They are simply different responses to different realities. You get what I'm saying? Different strokes for different folks. Now, the more I learn about Ghana, the more I realize that many systems outsiders don't understand actually make perfect sense once you understand the environment that these were built for. Okay, I am curious anyways, what is the most interesting way that you have seen people save money here in Ghana? What is that one interesting way? Get it? Now, if you're watching from another country, does saving look different where you live? Let me know in the comments, and I really would love to compare how you get to save in your country compared to how it is being done right here in Ghana. Let us compare experiences. This, okay? You are a trader. You need money today to buy goods that will definitely arrive tomorrow morning. If you miss this opportunity, you are going to lose an entire week's income. You understand what I'm saying? The question is, would you wait several weeks for paperwork and loan approvals? Would you? I'm guessing probably not. And that is one reason that the informal lending system continues to exist in Ghana. Living in Ghana, I assume that as banks became more common, the informal lending system was going to slowly disappear. You understand what I mean? But that isn't the situation on the ground. What I have noticed is that many people still borrow through family, through friends, through trusted business partners, saving groups, or even community networks. And it is easy to wonder why. And that is when I started looking beyond money. I realized that these systems are usually built on relationships. Now, what I mean is that in many communities, your reputation does matter, okay? It does matter a lot. People know who keep their words. You get what I'm saying? They know the ones that get to pay back on time. See, trust itself becomes part of the financial system. For somebody who is running a small business, speed is everything, okay? Speed is everything that they need and they operate on. If an opportunity comes today, waiting weeks for formal approval may not be practical for them. A trusted friend, a family member might just be able to help them immediately. And if you look at it, that's not because banks are bad. It's because the informal lending system, it solves a different problem. It is faster, it is personal, and sometimes it's the only realistic option at the moment. Now, another thing that I have noticed is that many small businesses don't always have paperwork that the traditional banks normally require. Now, what I mean is that a trader might have years of successful business experience, but little formal documentation. Their income is real, okay? Their customers are real, but proving all of that through official records can sometimes be very difficult. So the community learning system gets to fill that gap for them. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that the informal lending isn't perfect. Without written agreements, be rest assured that misunderstandings can happen, friendships can be strained, money can create conflict, and that's why many people today combine both systems. As financial services continue to improve, more people are opening bank accounts, they are using the mobile banking, and of course they are applying for formal loans. But you should understand that the traditional lending system hasn't disappeared because it still solves problems that the formal systems don't always solve quickly. You understand what I'm saying? Now, what I find most interesting is the fact that Ghana did not just choose one system over the other. Both of these systems, they exist side by side, okay? The modern banking system continues to grow. The community trust, it does continue to grow by the side, and together they help keep businesses, families, and communities moving. The more I observe life in Ghana, the more I realize that what many people see as informal from the outside is often highly organized once you understand how it does work. Okay. Anyways, I would like to hear from you. If you suddenly needed money for an emergency today, are you going to approach the bank first, or would you call someone that you trust? Would you call somebody that you trust to give you that amount of money? Let me know in the comments, because honestly speaking, I'd love to know how it does work where you live. And I'll see you again. Bye.